What's up everyone, and welcome back to Random HQ. In today's video, I will be dropping Shifty Shafts 10 times. Shifty Shafts is a point of interest on the Fortnite map, or at least it was until Chapter 2 arrived, of which the new map excluded the location. Shifty was a relatively small POI, however, because of its suitable and secret location, as well as 11 possible chest spawns, there was enough loot for a solo or duo to drop there and leave with a decent loadout. Because Shifty was so small of a location, most of the time it wasn't a popular place to land, meaning you wouldn't have expected to fight multiple parties early on, which made Shifty Shafts a great spot to land if you wanted to play games passively and make it to late game. Now with all that being said, let's get into the video. I dropped Shifty Shafts 10 times, and this is what happened. So here we are, game 1. I want to make it clear that this is definitely not the first time I've dropped Shifty before. I used to drop Shifty almost every single solo and duo game I played, and considering the amount of games I've played in those modes, yeah, it's a lot. Also, I need to mention this video is inspired by Luke the Notable. He does these types of videos too, but way much better. So after skydiving through the air for the first time today, I landed on a drum shotgun and proceeded to loot. I noticed another player had landed nearby though, so I quickly scavenged for resources. I made my way towards my enemy, and although he had double the amount of health as I spread him down with my drum shotgun, marking the first elimination of this video. Thankfully, he still had a spare mini shield and 2 bolt snipers. With Shifty cleared, I proceeded to loot, and along the way, I found more mini shields and only seconds later a shield potion, allowing me to max out my shields. I continued to loot, however my loadout was fairly mediocre. I eventually came across a combat shotgun out of a vending machine that I swiftly claimed. However, only seconds later, I was attacked by a person on top of a house to the west. I fell back as my materials weren't in the best spot, and I wasn't in the best position to take a fight. Shifty is notorious for lacking in materials. Wood makes up most of Shifty, and the only reliable source is the surrounding environment. Once I made my way to the houses though, the scene was deserted, until I noticed fighting behind me and body shot an enemy for 110. I proceeded to get involved as I heard that a player was beneath me, in the shafts. I don't really know what his plan was here, but it doesn't really matter now as player 609871795 is eliminated. As I dropped down to retrieve my loot though, I heard another player nearby. Not gonna lie, not only was I just scared by how he dropped down, but I probably should have died. I was in a bad situation here, my health was in a critical state, and there were more players nearby. Thankfully, I was somehow able to regenerate my shields and prepare myself for the next fight. I probably should have been paying more attention, as I basically just allowed him to hit me once I resurfaced. It came down to a shoot-off for who had the lower ping, and I died to Ligma Balls, whom was, only on 1 HP by the way. Oh well, at least I got some battle stars. Game 2, and I'm landing in the middle of Shifty on a combat shotgun. It appeared that nobody else had dropped Shifty, and it was just myself. One of the best parts about Shifty are these mushrooms. They grant about 5 shield each, and there's tons of them. By the time I made it to the houses, there was 20 people left, and I had max wood. I eventually left Shifty and made my way to a lone house in the winter biome. I continued to loot until I noticed a mech was nearby. I closely followed the mech as it made its way over the frozen greasy grove, and eventually I revealed myself and started firing at the mech. Mechs were a 2-person vehicle, which allowed me to jump in and self-destruct it. My enemy took 110 damage, and I finished him off with a combat shotgun strike. However, only seconds later, I was build battling with a person that clearly didn't know how to take high ground. I eventually dropped down to take his wall, but he was smart and he built out and trapped me in a new box. He placed the trap on the floor and finished me off with his pump shotgun. Game 3, and I'm landing on the side of Shifty. I proceeded to loot, and I eventually came across a golden tactical shotgun. A player tried fighting me, however I quickly put an end to that by bludgeoning him to his demise. I made it to the houses, which were also left untouched. And by the time the first zone had closed in, I'd made it to max wood. I eventually left Shifty while being good on mats and having a decent loadout. I made my way to the skull that was in the middle of the map and picked up some extra chug splashes. I eventually came across a mech which was right in the open in front of me. Don't worry, I saved the lobby by self-destructing it. However, people didn't really like that idea, and I immediately became public enemy number 1. Somehow I made it out of that situation, and I came across a Peely that I easily eliminated. I then used the rift in the middle of Loot Lake and skydived to safety on top of this mountain. And with 5 people left, I found myself boxed up in a tower. However, that wouldn't last long as someone was trying to break me down. We fought for some time and we got some good shots on each other. And with proper placement and 2 shots of my tactical shotgun, I got the kill. With 4 people left, I kept the high ground, however a player beneath me was playing like it was the World Cup. I eventually shot him out, however he only took 11 damage. I left the 2 of them down there to fight, and it eventually came down to a 1 vs 1. We kind of both accepted it was going to come down to a heal off as the storm was closing in, and with full shield and 2 campfires, I won the match. Game 4, I'm landing the top of Shifty on a drum shotgun. Another player was beneath me, and as I dropped down, I realized he had no weapon. I mean, I feel bad for what I had to do here. I mean, he was helpless, but I didn't want to get banned, so... Not much later, though, a player dropped down and shot most of my health away with his sniper. I tried applying shields, but he shot out my ramp and bursted me to death. Game 5, I'm landing the side of Shifty on a suppressed SMG. I found a chug jug that I immediately popped. Come on, 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 come on. I dropped down to get involved, however, that was probably the worst mistake I could make because I was soon attacked by everyone. A player rushed me, and as I went to spray him with my I'm honestly super confused by what happened here. None of my shots hit, and they were all hit markers. Like, what? Game 6, I'm landing on an infantry rifle near the entrance of Shifty. Perfecting your drop at Shifty is crucial, and that's something this default clearly didn't do. I came across another default, and just like his aim, his name also sucked. I came across another player, and while on high ground, he shot me out. I was shot in the back by somebody else and RPG'd by him, and he finished me off with his shotgun. Well, I've lost 3 games straight, so you know what that means. I landed in a truck on the side of Shifty and collected a drum gun. Shifty was relatively quiet this game, which allowed me to collect more materials. And by the time I left Shifty with 18 players remaining, I had max wood and a decent loadout. I made my way towards Tilted Town and got on a hoverboard. Just to show how dangerous it is to be out in the open in the age of mechs, I'm already being targeted. I eventually used the rift to fly to safety towards Pleasant Park. I came across a player though, and we found ourselves in a fight. However, he shockwave away and he left me boxed up in a tower with 8 players remaining. I eventually made my way towards Loot Lake and I found myself in a battle with another player. I got a couple good shots on him, however he got a couple back on me. However, he edit a window and I shot straight through it for the kill. With 3 players left, I was being targeted by another player, but I quickly gained the high ground. Another person was riding Storm, however, I quickly put an end to that. With 2 players remaining, the other player was trying to shoot me out from high ground. As my opponent was spraying me with his minigun and I was slowly running out of mats, he launched up and I killed him for the win. Game 8, I'm landing the middle of Shifty on a tactical shotgun. I managed to get a quick kill off another player that was already weak. And only seconds later I came across a default that gave up and let me kill him the moment he saw me. I encountered another player, however we both shot each other. This will be the only good instance of someone using a proximity launcher, I promise you. With Shifty finally cleared, it allowed me to harvest more materials. And I eventually left Shifty with 21 players remaining, max wood, and a decent loadout. I came across a hoverboard that I used to get all the way to Lucky Landing. However, as I was trying to break into the roof of this house, a player was hiding there and shockwave to safety. With 8 players remaining, I was on top of a mountain with high ground. I dropped down to attack the player, however the storm was putting us in a pretty tricky situation. And as we were fighting, I got third party to a team to my right and oh no! Game 9, I'm landing on a heavy AR. I came across a player that I built up for the high ground and he sprayed me down. Well that was quick. Well, here we are, Game 10. So after skydiving through the air for the 10th time today, I landed on a jump pad and proceeded to loot. Nobody else dropped Shifty, so I was able to loot up quite a bit. By the time I left Shifty, I had max wood and a decent loadout. I made my way to the school in the middle of the map and a player was hiding in the building. He made a pretty brave move to build up on me and I shot out most of his shields. And with a quick edit and me dropping down, I got the kill. I don't know why, but for some reason the next minute of footage is just me sitting here, and he was watching the whole time, so he was probably just confused. I eventually launch padded away to Dusty Depot, where I came across another default. And after nailing some shots, I eventually got the kill. And to my surprise, a supply drop had spawned right where I was. However, this only made me a huge target as people were throwing grenades all around me. I was then pushed by the attacker, who I then eliminated. And I was even able to finally open the supply drop. A player was hiding in this building, but by using my big brain, I was able to shoot their feet through this window. He ran away, but when he jumped up, I got the kill, making it a 1 vs 1. The final player in the match was trying to shoot me with his automatic sniper. And while being great on weapons, heals, and mats, I launch padded over to his location to get a better angle. He revealed himself, which allowed me to crack his shield. Over the next couple minutes, we would exchange gunfire. He eventually dropped down, which prompted me to build up and gain the high ground. Judging by the way he was playing though, he was getting pretty desperate. And as my enemy slid down the mountain, likely low on mats and ammo, I flicked and did 18 damage with my shotgun, effectively winning, marking the end of these 10 games. So with all 10 games played, we can get into the stats. Out of the 10 games played, I got 21 eliminations as well as 3 wins, with my top kill game being game 10 with 5 kills. Most of the games, no one went Shifty, so I was able to loot up and get a good loadout. So that'll mark an end to this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Later.